Hello, hello. I'm so excited to get started with this exciting chat and hangouts to go ahead and discuss what is deaf friendly and how that relates to accessibility. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and introduce ourselves and also have a visual description. My name is Melissa Yingst. My sign name is M at the chest. I am brown skin, Latina, with brown hair, half up hair, with gold earrings and a black t-shirt with a gray jacket. I'm sitting in front of a white wall with half of a peacock picture and some light streamed across. Happy to be here with you. I'll go ahead and let you both introduce yourselves and along with the visual description.
This is Echo, and this is my sign. I'm signing right now. I'm a light-skinned woman with blonde, short hair. My background is kind of a blue, green, gray with some abstract art. It's not clear as to what it is. With a plant, I'm wearing a black shirt with the text hashtag deaf friendly across it. And I'm also wearing glasses today, which is sort of off my brand.
Hello, my name is Zainab. My sign name is Z. I'm a light-skinned Arab American woman, black curly short hair, brown glasses with white earrings, black shirt with a black jacket. Background is my home office. It's painted half gray on top and white at the bottom. You can see a bookcase and a floor lamp. The light is off, and I'm representing an NAD policy, the policy council.
Melissa here. Yes, perfect. This is my sign name, Melissa. And so the discussion today is going to be diving in deep. I wanted to open up with, I'm curious, what is accessibility to us? What does that mean to be accessible?
Echo here. Accessibility for me is my access point to the world, because the world itself is it's directed based on hearing culture and hearing people. Their way is audio based, whereas I'm not. So accessibility to me is my access point to the world. It's really important.
Melissa here. And your access to the world, what does that look like?
I have a variety of needs to be able to participate in the world. Those things, I mean, I can share more in depth as we get further in this conversation.
Melissa here. Thank you. Zainab?
And Zainab here, Echo said it beautifully. I'm the only deaf person in my hearing family. So to me, accessibility is how I can experience experience everything how they can. When they go to places, they don't have to think twice. They just go along naturally. I have to plan in advance. I have to reach out and figure out what is available, or if I have to set up accommodations prior, it takes up a lot more time. Unfortunately, that's what accessibility is, and it should not be. I long for the day where I have equal accessibility and I don't have to think twice about having access.
Melissa here. Yes, I agree with both of you. For me, accessibility is where I can just be me. I can be Melissa. I can be myself. I can, show my personality, my likes, my enthusiasms, and have that shown, and not have to have that stigma of, oh, but she's deaf. Oh, but she needs this. I want all of that to be thrown out. And I know that accessibility has changed a lot since we've grown up. I was shown my ASL class the other day how technology has evolved, and it's amazing. For example, TV. Back then, there used to have this big chunky box on the screen with captions, and now everything is just built into the TV. It's really nice. Phones. We used to have the TTY that we had to key, which is transformed into the video phone now. But of course, there's still many more things that we need to do. But I'm curious what your first thoughts of are, how accessibility has changed over the years for you too.
Echo, signing here. I remember way back then, when I had my first TTY. It was big, it was clunky, and I would type along it. It was very uncomfortable. I was not used to the TTY because I was mainstream. I only had one person to call, and I was very embarrassed to have that clunky equipment. Over the years, I became more comfortable, and we had the Windell pagers. I don't know if you guys remember
Mhm.
that,
I
but
remember
and the
that.
Sidekick. Yeah, we
Yep.
had the Sidekick, and now we have Glide. This is the sign for Glide. Is this the sign for Glide? Oh, okay. I
Glide.
had I had that wrong. And then we have Marco Polo, and now we have Zoom, which is
Mhm.
really beneficial and made my life a lot easier.
Melissa here. Yes, definitely. Zainab.
Zainab signing here. TTY was one of the first things that I thought of as well, way back then, having that clunky equipment. What was frustrating about the TTY was that it was very slow. You typed your message, then you type go ahead GA, and it would take a long time. Whereas, you're on the phone, it was a live conversation. You can just go back and forth. Now we have the VP, VRS, email, text, but we still have a long way to go. So for example, with the VP and VRS, I have some reservations because sometimes they have random interpreters assigned, lack of innovation, and it's not adequate or equivalent to what we have on the phone. And I just, so far, I mean, we've come a long way. You did mention, Melissa, in regards to the captions. I do remember we had that caption box, and we have definitely come a long way. So the same concept of we have a lot of work left to do. For example, captioning availability in the workplace now. And we have it in the TV, and it's starting to expand a little bit, but there's still a lot of gaps online. And even when captions are available, they're also hard to
Mhm.
find. You have to try and
Mhm.
customize it. And another thing that I also thought in regards to the past compared to now, I couldn't go to the movie theaters back then. There was no captions available. And then they had caption devices, you have the glasses, and I'm not too much of a fan of
Yeah,
those options for
they
obvious
were
reasons.
so, right?
Yeah, exactly. You have to adjust it. Sometimes they don't work. Sometimes there's gaps. Uh, and it seems like captioning is starting to become a little bit more available, but we still have a little more to go. It's not 100% accessible, where I can go to the movie at any time.
Mhm.
That's what accessibility would be.
Yeah, Melissa here. Yeah, just being spontaneous last minute and seeing that OC for open caption, having to plan that way in advance back then, going and it's completely a different experience. I totally agree with you. Yes. Echo.
Echo signing here. Yeah, the dream is just having true accessibility. Like you said, Melissa, you would like to go anywhere at any time without a thought, without having any additional prior planning. And it makes you feel like you actually belong.
Mhm.
That's the dream. That's the goal that we want to get to.
Melissa here. Yes. A big reason why things are changing and getting better is because of technology. Yes. And we're able to do more with the technology and because of the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. That's really, pushed for more with the understanding that it's uh, at the very minimal requirements. Zainab, would you mind explaining what the minimal requirements are required by the ADA?
Sure. Zainab signing here. ADA has 4 categories, and I will expand on each. The first one, section 1, means an employer cannot discriminate based on disabilities. If you have to provide reasonable accommodations for an individual, such as finding captions or interpreters for meetings, and since COVID has come up, navigating through accessibility has been a little bit interesting. Second is government needs to be and related to COVID as well, we have to make sure that the speakers have information, that they're relaying important information. They have interpreters available. All important information is accessible. If you have deaf individuals that are not available to get that life-saving information. The third one is, having accessibility at locations such as hotels, museums, doctor's office, hospitals. They need to provide accommodations. The last section, section 4, is miscommunication, VRS. ADA does help, and we've come a long way, but it's not perfect. There are violations that are happening every day, and there's still barriers, still a lot of frustrations, and we see that in hospitals where they won't provide interpreters or VRI, same with doctor's office. We see barriers with accessibility on the phone, accessibility to 911, and we as deaf individuals sometimes are hesitant with accessibility to certain companies. So for example, when a company reaches out to us or to me and they're asking me for my phone number, they will to want to follow up, I'm a little hesitant on which phone number I'm supposed to actually give them. Do I give them my text number where they're able to send me text messages, or do I send them my video phone number where they can call and chat with an interpreter? So I still have that hesitation, that internal hesitation every day. My point is, with those 4 sections, those are minimal requirements, and companies are not going above and beyond the accessibility, what ADA requires. What I would like to see is proactivity. Companies need to be proactive, and they need to be mindful from the beginning at what accessibility includes, what they should be able to, what they're doing and what they should be doing. And the company is actually putting the burden on the deaf individual, and they expect us to nudge them and follow up, to request accommodations. Sometimes I have to ask and confirm if they actually will have an interpreter available on that date, for example, or working with them. Why not just build accessibility from the beginning? So for example, having interpreters available at a concert, regardless of a request. Hospitals having staff interpreters, or a company having communication sent in different methods, or having some system sent for VP or text and having that in one. There's many ways where we can assure our experience is adequate, and it doesn't actually seem to be happening. One fantastic quote I saw a couple days ago that's going around on social media that really struck me was, yeah, I think you saw it. It was, what accessibility is not taking for those additional steps. They're not having that extra thought and having everything set up prior. They're, having to have interpreters set up, or having something last minute. If they had it built from the beginning, I mean, yes, ADA has those minimal requirements and it does help improve things in our lives, but we still do have a long way to go. Whenever I would like to see proactivity built in from the beginning. And with that is true accessibility.
Melissa here. Yes, I did see that shared on Instagram. Almost every one of my friends had that in their Instagram story, that meme with that quote on it. I looked at it and completely agreed. It's so right. Knowing that, it's one thing, Echo feels strongly about, that the positive customer experience isn't part of the ADA at all. So I wanted to ask you to go and expand on that, if you don't mind, Echo.
Echo signing here. Yes. First of all, I love the ADA. I feel so much power knowing that the ADA is there to protect us. And we can take advantage of having that. So I do love having that support from the ADA, but I do believe that we do need to go beyond what the ADA has set. I actually want to share another quote. I'm sorry, but
We love quotes.
It's a different quote, but it's from a hard of hearing accessibility advocate. Her name is Samantha Havens. Havens. The first step is not the goal of the finish line. Basically meaning, we've just taken the first step. And so I just wanted to share a story in regards to that and how it really impacted me. I just got back from a trip from Austin for business. I flew to Austin, stayed in a hotel. Once I got to the hotel and got to my room, I looked over prior to entering the room. I looked over and I saw it was like a plate with a doorbell or a button for a doorbell. So inside the room, they actually had lights. If somebody was outside, you could press the doorbell and the lights would flutter, letting us know someone was at the door. So it was really nice. And that was required by ADA, making the room hotel accessible. The problem, I think I can show you, or I hope you can see. It's a picture, room for handicapped, please press.
Oh my gosh.
So having that accessibility was cool. I needed that function for housekeeping or if I had food delivered, knowing that someone was at my door knocking. But the language associated, handicapped, that is such an old term. That's old language and that's not appropriate in today's day and age. So when I first arrived at the door, I felt a little offended that I was labeled as handicapped. And, that was the start of my stay in Austin. And I was really actually supposed to stay for 5 days, but I ended up cutting my trip short and moving to a different hotel. And it was actually good improvements. It was a good for the hotel, a good lesson for the hotel. They lost my money. I went to the hotel again, letting them know I'm not going to be going to the hotel again because of that language. And I also wrote a negative review in regards to the hotel because of that language, saying that language was not appropriate, meaning that my community is going to see that and less people will actually be going into that hotel. So it was really a powerful lesson for the business. Unfortunately, money talks.
Always.
When business notice a decline in revenue, that's going to trigger attention of the higher ups and who's actually making those decisions. So it's really important that businesses start thinking about ADA, yes, but also that human connection, connecting with their customers, learning and understanding about who they are and what their values are overall.
Melissa here. Yes. Zainab, go ahead. Zainab here. If I could add to that, the frame, the label, that makes a big difference. We need to feel valued. We need to feel the same, not felt like an other. I have another example. One's good and one's bad. The good one is in relation to you, Echo. I went to a conference in Phoenix where you were training at that hotel, and it was fantastic.
Yes.
They were texting us. We were able to text at the front desk. We were able to ask for all kinds of things to have sent to our room. I had never experienced that before. That was the first for me. And that was, awesome. The hotel took the right steps. They understood. They were understanding. And I wish more hotels would do that. And, going back to what we were discussing earlier, for hotels and other places, they should put that effort and invest it into the deaf community. We are customers and consumers as well. They deserve our money. And the other thing, unregarded and not in relation to the ADA, a lot of people assume that the ADA applies to airports as well, but it doesn't actually. There's different laws, and not a lot of people realize that. Mhm. There was another law, an older one in the 1970s, where a lot of airlines, if you informed them that you're deaf and you need, accessibility, for example, you have to let me know what the announcement are being made for that trip. And once you're getting off the airplane, they pull up wheelchairs for you every
Yeah,
time. They
echo here. That
typically
happened
always
to
do
me
that.
in Austin.
Mhm. Right, exactly. So they don't take the time to understand what our actual
Understood.
needs are. They just lump it in with other things, that the ADA is just one fit all. They don't realize that we're individuals and have various needs. We're different person to person. And so I think education and training goes a long way, but we just need to have that mental shift
Melissa
first.
here. Definitely. One good example of how Deaf Friendly really has been pushing for customer service experiences with hotels. I definitely agree. I remember NAD. Yeah, they had those
Mhm.
same needs, and it was a good experience. The hotel followed ADA by providing this and that, such as lights and doorbells, but going above and beyond is text and having staff, having maybe some
Mhm.
staff know sign and familiar
Same
with
here.
sign.
I remember that. Yeah.
And even simple signs, just like, hi, how are you? Little things, but that goes a long way to feel like, wow, I'm human. I can communicate.
Mhm.
And so that experience to me was true accessibility. Yes. And not just accessibility, but inclusion. So that's something that I've looked at, and NAD has been doing a lot of great work fighting for accessibility. Deaf Friendly has been doing great work fighting for promoting going above and beyond with experiencing a positive customer experience. One thing I want to touch on that NAD has been doing and Deaf Friendly has been doing, and NAD, what does it look like when someone actually has a grievance and reaches out to NAD? What can NAD do?
Zainab here. Like I said earlier, uh, violations happen every day. And so some of them reach out to NAD and we get thousands of grievances. I mean, it's sad to see. We have a small team of lawyers and we've got one person who handles all of it and they do an
Wow.
amazing job, an amazing job. There's a lot to respond to with everyone sending in everything. And then they just do an amazing job. And because of that, we can't take every case, unfortunately. And so looking at each individual to see where it makes sense to where we can have a big impact for that case instead of ones that just impact one person. Um, having good facts, some of those things, factor in coming into the legal team. We have two full-time lawyers and we have policy side of things like myself. I do uh, the policy side of the house where I proactively make an effort, like I mentioned earlier, to encourage companies to be proactive, to include accessibility from day one, from the beginning. So we can collaborate with companies, tech companies, making sure that their products, their devices, their programs are inclusive for communicative needs, including the deaf community from the beginning. And too often they'll come out with a new thing that's super cool, but it's not accessible to us. And we tried to build that relationship so that they know to check in with us, to consult with us and test their product before they release it. We try to make sure that the federal agencies and their rules and regulations include these things for deaf and hard of hearing needs. Our goal is, like I mentioned, to make accessibility rooted in so that we don't have to think twice. You know, we don't have to be in a different world. That's what NID is trying to do. Um, it's a heartening effort. It's not easy, but
A
I hope
lot.
incrementally we can continue to chip away at these barriers that we face.
Melissa here. Yes, I do acknowledge that NAD has a huge responsibility, and it's easy for people to say, oh, well, NAD is going to fix this, but they don't realize that there's so much work that goes into that. It's incredible.
Zainab, I have an example, not in regard to ADA, but in a different law for airlines. We did a huge negotiation back in 2016. We were talking to the airline companies, discussing having captioning for entertainment, because sitting there's no captions in the entertainment. And, as well as the announcements, there's no way to let us know if there's an emergency going on. And so through all these back and forth, we had an agreement to sign for captionings, and then we argued for announcements as well. And we had to bring that over to the Department of Transportation, and they wanted to add it into a formal regulation to have this going as well. So we did all of this work, went over to the Department of Transportation, and they're still sitting on it. And we've been reaching out. And so there's a lot of things that are out of our control, unfortunately.
Melissa here. Wow, I didn't, a lot of us don't realize what goes on behind the scenes in regards to legal needs. Deaf Friendly has a big role in making a positive experience for us as well. Do you mind elaborating on what Deaf Friendly does?
Echo here, yes. Deaf Friendly as a platform to where any deafblind, hard of hearing can write a review about a business, and that's the beginning. So once the review is done, Deaf Friendly's team will reach out to that business and inform them that we've noticed someone reviewing them and seeing if they need some help on how to improve. And we'll consult them, give them tips. If the business is interested in a training or counseling session, then we'll go there and train that company. And really changing the world requires speaking up. And if you don't speak up, then you don't tell people, if you don't sign it, if you don't write it down, whatever form of communication you use, you can't make a change happen. And
That's right.
it doesn't take just one person. I've gone from hotel to hotel to hotel. No, I can't do that. That's impossible. I need all of you to go to hotels and all of you to go to airlines and write, negative, positive reviews so that we can show businesses that the power of providing good quality experience to deaf and hard of hearing people. You have a $9 billion revenue of profitability to be made for accessibility in our community.
Yes. Zainab here. One thing, if I can just add, one person, if the deaf community can show our power and our hearts through how we can show that is through voting. Right now in the political process, they don't value the deaf community's vote. They don't try, they try to encourage other groups, but they leave out the deaf community. It doesn't seem like they want our vote and try to encourage that. But that is one thing I would like to see more and more deaf people in exercising their right to vote and make our community, for lack of a better term, visual, so we can force change through that way as well.
Melissa here, yes. And that's why I always strongly feel like we all should care about accessibility, all of us, regardless if we're not deaf, we're not deafblind, we're not deaf and disabled. It doesn't matter. We should all care, because the truth is, really, anyone could be struck with a disability at any time in our life. So if we're not doing the work now together, it's going to affect us someday. It will. And so on that note, any last thoughts on why everyone should care about accessibility for me too?
Echo signing. Well, just a short comment. If you want change, you must take action to do so. Sitting back and waiting is not going to work. You have to get up, take action, and whatever that action is, writing an
Yes.
overview is one way, filing a complaint is another way, sharing with friends and family is another way. So you have to take action, whatever that looks like.
Absolutely. Zainab here. I agree with you 100%. You have to take action. You have to do something about it. Make noise, make ourselves, our community known, make other people pay attention to us and the community. Another thing is, why should we care about accessibility and not just the deaf community? Because we, of course, are invested in it. We're living about in it. So why should others care? And it can benefit them as well. For example, captioning can benefit everyone. My husband's hearing, and he uses captions every day. He didn't realize, he's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much I was missing before. Just like, the curve of the stroller, with the car, captioning just benefits everyone. It just in general will benefit everyone, everyone in the world.
Melissa here, you're right. Yeah, we could all use the benefit of everything that accessibility provides, for sure. I really want to thank you both for your time, sharing your thoughts and your experiences and what you do with NAD and Deaf Friendly, and why the community needs to invest more in supporting NAD and Deaf Friendly in your work. Thank you.
Up here. Thank you, Echo. Thank you. Thank you for having us.